The vampire, whose origins are often shrouded in mystery, can be a misunderstood figure. Surprisingly, the concept of blood-drinking creatures did not exist in medieval Europe, often referred to as the Dark Ages. It was much later that the legend of vampires emerged. In fact, it came after witch hunts, werewolf trials, and even the demon-filled beliefs of Puritans. The idea of vampires as undead beings who bring harm originated about 1,000 years ago in Eastern Europe, specifically in Bulgaria. However, it's important to note that this legend was limited to the Slavic people and not widely known or popularized. The term vampire itself roughly translates to ghost monster, shedding light on these early beliefs where vampires were depicted as non-corporeal entities without physical bodies. Slavic vampires were not like the typical image of suave creatures in evening dress. Instead, they were non-corporeal beings, more akin to poltergeists. These vampires would wreak havoc and spread disease throughout villages, operating in a similar manner to destructive rats. It's important to note that they did not create other vampires through biting nor consume blood. The vampire's presence in Western history emerged relatively late due to the influence of war. In 1686, German-speaking forces gained control of Hungary and consequently encountered the Slavic population with their vampire beliefs. This information was then carried by soldiers to cosmopolitan centers such as Vienna, Berlin, Paris, and eventually London. Eventually, this belief in vampires made its way across the Atlantic to the Americas. It is worth mentioning that the term vampire itself first appeared in English in 1732, coinciding with the birth year of George Washington. As the vampire legend traveled from east to west, it underwent significant changes. Instead of being a mere ghost, the vampire became a reanimated corpse with a physical form. One of the most notable additions to the legend was the need for blood consumption, which emerged as a Western concept in the 18th century. Surprisingly, this scientific element made the vampire more convincing and tangible to people of that time. As society moved away from superstition, as evidenced by the decriminalization of witchcraft in Britain and its colonies in 1735, intellectuals sought to explain vampirism as a disease rather than a supernatural phenomenon. It is intriguing that they did not dismiss the legend outright but instead approached it from a scientific perspective. During this period, human blood was believed to possess medicinal properties and was widely consumed as medicine across Europe and the Americas. From epilepsy to failing eyesight, various ailments were treated with prescribed human blood in the 1700s, an elixir containing remnants of the human soul. Although perhaps unsettling, these historical beliefs provide fascinating insights into how individuals sought understanding through science even when confronted with supernatural phenomena like vampirism. This revelation separates it from mere ghostly creatures and brings us into the realm of Dracula, a terrifying figure introduced in the seminal novel published in 1897.